Hello, hello, hello. We are back again, Triggered AF, the podcast, with your hosts, Alechia Reese and Dani Foster. Now, today, we have a phenomenal, and when I say phenomenal, y'all know I don't fangirl over very many people, okay? I think Oprah and Beyonce and Uncle Jay, those are the only folks, but it's not really fangirl, and I just really respect their artistry. But we have an absolutely creative, uplifting, empowering, inspiring young woman with us today. Her name is Toni Jones, and she is an affirmation artist and musician. And I know if you're anything like me, you might not even know what that is or who and what they do. But baby, listen, you about to be educated, okay? Because it is life-changing. It is game-changing. At the end, make sure you stay tuned because I want Toni to let you know about all her new projects, especially her newest mental health mixtape, because it will cause you to get to your entire life. So without further ado, thank you so much, Toni, for joining us. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Excellent. So again, I do want to thank you for joining us. The conversation that we wanted to have today is around like reparenting, like healing those generational traumas through doing that self-work. Because for so many of us, we are entering into a completely new phase of life where we're agreeing that this piece works, this piece doesn't. I'm going to re-engineer, whether it's reverse or to begin the engineering of what it now looks like. So we're going to hop right on in, but I really would like to just to kind of get started is what inspired your healing journey? Because you can't help anyone else until you decided to help and heal yourself, not truly. So what inspired your healing journey?
You know, what inspired my journey definitely were the women that I grew up watching. Broke the unhappiness that I saw. And everything that they were doing was what I've known to do. You know, like go to church, get married, you know, believe in Jesus, read the Bible, you know, be, you know, good church girl. So I was just like, but y'all unhappy though. y'all unhappy and y'all mean. And I don't want that, you know. So it was, I did not know what I was embarking on, but I knew I wanted to embark on some new territory to explore what it looked like to feel alive and to discover what type of woman I wanted to woman, you know? And so I would have to say, just watching the women I grew up around, the women I went to church with, I was just like, yeah, that ain't it for me. Like, you know, and so I just went, I didn't know that I was embarking on a healing journey, but I knew whatever path that I was choosing, it wasn't going to be the one that ended up miserable and mean.
Yeah. Isn't that so funny? I literally said that a couple podcasts ago when we were talking about how I started my healing journey. I gave probably like, it wasn't like an identical answer. I was like, I grew up in church and I just didn't like how the people that I grew up watching lived. I didn't want anything that they had, you know, whether it was material or internally. So that's just so funny how that is like literally the same. It's such a big part of my journey, was just not really feeling like I wanted to aspire to those around me. I was like, okay, this is not working for y'all. And I don't feel like I want to hop on this ride. So let me find another way.
Same.
Yes. It's amazing how looking at someone else and the decisions that they've made brings you to yourself. If you pay enough attention.
You let it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to experience every trial and tribulation to know that maybe I shouldn't do that. Like you don't have to touch the stove to believe and know that this bit might be hot.
Right.
Maybe I shouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
So Toni, so we know what kind of inspired your journey. How did your journey lead you to become an affirmation musician? And what would you describe that as?
Well, my academic background is psychology, and I'm obsessed with everything that's neuroscience, human behavior. So when I graduated and with my degree, I knew I wanted to be like a psychology entrepreneur in the context of life coaching. And so I created an online programming, 5 sensory events for women. And I started my brand, Wife Your Life. And back in 2015, 2016, it was all about helping women recover from workaholism. The only issue was I launched during the boss bitch era, where it was all about become a millionaire in 6 months or six,
Yeah.
how to have the best everything, how to lose weight, how to have the perfect engagement photos. It was like everything was fabricated to present this woman who could do it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there was something in me was like, yeah, this is growth, but we can't live here.
Can't sustain it.
We can't.
It's not sustainable.
So I had this conviction to advocate messaging around, self-care and self-love. And it wasn't popular. It wasn't, no one was really talking about it. And, at least in our timeline, our social timeline, it was all about Black girl magic being defined by what you do, what you're producing, and how you're performing. And I was just like, yeah, that ain't really it either. And so, so for me, working with my one-on-one clients, female entrepreneurs, CEOs, like all these, ambitious moms, I just kept coming across them being zealous about the idea around self-care and well-being, but they could not reimagine life like putting themselves first. And I was like, this is awful. This is going to take a toll on our bodies. And so I told God through prayer, meditation, God, what can I do to hack this limiting belief that women feel like they cannot make themselves first? And so God gave me the idea, affirmation music. And I was like, oh, this is lit.
Game changer.
Yeah. And I was just like doing my little Googling, like who's doing this? And I couldn't find anyone that actually coined affirmation music. And I was hearing a few other people do a little something, but I was like, yeah, but I don't want to sound like that. I want to do it different. Like I want it to be dope. And so, but I never thought of being a musician. I just wanted to create a tool for my clients. This was not trying to launch a career or anything. This was just something I wanted my clients to use. And so I ended up going to LA for a month, wrote the album, just had all my journals, notes, stuff I've been writing for years, just ideas from different spiritual programs that I've been in. And I wrote the album, that came back, applied for a loan, got the loan. And I got in the studio and I was like, I like this. I like this a lot. And so when I saw the numbers and what it was doing, and I started seeing money just come in my account, I was just like, oh, wait a minute.
This the one.
It's the one. And so I was just like, I still wasn't married to that idea of becoming a musician, because I was like, Toni Jones, like that's not me. That's never been something I've done. Like that was never a talent. That was never a desire. That was never a thought. And 2019 happened. 2019, just for the record, was my 2020. So my 2020 was the best year of my entire life. Okay.
Wow.
2019, it was really freaky for people who were really close to me, because they were just like, we can't believe the things that you've been talking about all these years. There's in 2020. It freaked a lot of people out. And so, but it was really cool to see, because I'm just like, y'all, listen, I've been saying this for years, and it's been other leaders too, but no one in their age bracket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, so then I launched Affirmations and Chill during quarantine. you know, I just wanted to play around with some stuff. And then I decided in the summer, I was like, you know, I'm gonna close my coaching business and I'm gonna time, you know, because I had already went through a paradigm shift on how I wanted to show up in life professionally and personally. And I just wanted to figure out what it looked like to do less and receive more, you know, and
that part.
So yeah, I got rid of like 80% of my belongings, you know, 50 bills, you know, I traveled, you know, it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna figure out what it looks like for my happiness to be my purpose. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I live my life now. Like literally that is my purpose on this earth, to be happy. And then everything flows from that space, you know, and the evidence of like, this is a real code was seeing how all these years, how much I tried to get clients, tried to get revenue, all these things. When I tried to do it, it didn't work. But when I was just trying to make myself happy, it's like I'm getting the result of of when I was trying and get that result, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So when October 2020 happened, I closed my coaching business and I pursued music, which was last year. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I've only been doing this a short amount of time. And so affirmation music is really an infusement of all different genres. This is how I define it. It's healing music.
Yes.
That pretty much trains, inspires, and motivates people to talk to themselves better. Because you know, whether people got the memo or not, we are entering the hippie era where it's about to be about peace, love, and light. Everybody's going to be a guru. Everybody's going to have Instagram wisdom. So, you know, everything's about self-love and having a relationship, but you cannot have a healthy relationship with yourself if you don't have healthy communication. That's the foundation and core requirement for every relationship. So you can say all the wisdom, do all the healing practices, but if you do not talk to yourself in a healthy way when it comes to your body, when it comes to your past, your healing process, you know, self-criticism, your relationships, men, society, the government, Black people, if you're not speaking healthy, you don't have a healthy relationship with your reality and with yourself. And so affirmation music, it just re-enrolls people to be mindful about how they use their human technology, or really divine technology, to speak, to create your life. So that's kind of like the brainchild of how this came about.
Listen.
Wow. Okay.
I have goosebumps and I'm trying not to cry because I'm a G for girl, not gangster, y'all. But literally everything that you're talking about is what I'm doing now. I'm closing down the business because this is not what makes me happy. It is a zone of excellence, not a zone of genius. So yeah, I'm great at it. I do it with my eyes closed. But I do not like it. It does not make me happy. I literally was telling my girlfriends that no, I want to have joy and I want to be rooted in it. I want to be rooted in that joy. And there's no way I can root myself in joy when I literally am doing something that I truly dislike.
Right.
I'm getting rid of literally most of my things. I'm moving back home because I said, no, I need to be, you know, kind of like a mother covers a newborn. Dani, you know, because you're now covering a newborn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to my mother so that I can go into an incubator. And this piece I haven't explained to anyone. You did that too?
I did, and lived on a farm. And let me just say this, audience. If you have an aunt, grandparents, you have a friend, if you have whoever, if find a way, if you can house it, reduce your bills. I am not saying this is a universal blueprint for everybody, but if you are finding yourself wanting to do less or receive more, you find a safe space for your economics.
Yeah.
Where you can ground yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because that social pressure to be an independent woman, it can really kill you.
Like, yeah, literally.
Not
literally. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the number one killer.
Yeah.
It is the number one killer of Black women.
Yeah.
Our bodies literally give out. It says, no more. I can't take it. You have taken me to the brink of death, and now I'm done. It is finished. And your heart gives out. Why does your heart give out? Because you're not taking care of you. You're not loving you. You've taken the loving piece out of what you do, how you work, how you operate. And because you have taken the loving piece out of it, and the heart is that muscle. It was literally created to love and to nurture. And you've taken out all of that. So it can't help but give out because you're starving it of the one thing that it needs.
Yep. And I think, and referring back to Toni, you talking about when you started, it was during that boss bitch era. And I think what that era was doing was making everybody feel like they had to be this one way. Like if you weren't a boss bitch, you weren't valued, you weren't important, nobody cared about you. It's like, it was so draining, and it made women feel so inadequate with it, whatever they were doing. And I think now we're all like, okay, that boss bitch thing is good for you, but that's not working for me because that is not who I am. And then now I think we're seeing more women trying to find what works for them. So I just love that that's what you help people do through their music, is rewire that brain, rewire that pattern, and come back to source, because it really has been so damaging just watching women just completely abandon their feminine essence in an effort to try to compete and to keep up with the Joneses and have this Birkin. And it's like, that's not fulfilling, and it's not sustainable, like you said.
It's so silly. I'm like, got tears in my eyes because 2019 was like a really rough year. I was hospitalized for mental health challenges. I just did not feel like I fit this society. Like, I have never in any space I've ever been in, and so I was just like, I like the idea of the world. So I dealt with suicidal ideation, attempt. It got really dark. I like the idea of not being here because I was just like, everybody about money. That's not that I just have this something inside me says we're more.
Yeah.
I think I'll ever have a message that lands for people. And I'm telling y'all, that was so hardwired into my belief that I literally had to take baby steps to believe. And this was all of 2020, okay? So this is after when I released Affirmations for the Grown-Ass Woman, all hell broke loose. Literally the next week. My life was never the same after I released that album. My life never, literally, it was like my pandemic happened after I released that album. My brother called me the other day, he was like, I'm not trying to say you like a god. He said, but when you went down, the world never was the same again.
I'm not religious, but I am very spiritual. Do believe in God. And for me, every time there's going to be a shift or a major transformation, you go through extreme darkness because it's trying to take you out. Because of all of the people that you have in your lineage, not saying that you birthed them, but the people who are supposed to come after you and through you, and whose lives will be saved and the lives that they will transform, that it's trying to take you out. Because if it knocks the head off the leader, the body can't stand. They declare you dead once your brain is gone. So if it knock your head off, if it knocked the leader's head, like with what your brother was saying, how it took you out and it shook things. There are people who are anchors in this realm who, when they get knocked down, it shakes the very foundation, because there are so many in your lineage that you are supposed to impact, to inspire, to save. Which is why it is so incredibly important that, not just because it's a fad or because it's popular, but I haven't liked the term Black girl magic. No disrespect to whomever created it, because when you say something is a magical being, sometimes you take the humanity away from it. Yes, I can produce things that are magical, but I am a human. like you have a piece in Affirmations for the Grown Ass Woman where you say, I am a human being, not a human doing. And what that boss bitch era did was take the being away and replaced it with doing.
Mm-hmm.
We literally championed women who sacrifice sleep, sacrifice joy, sacrificed life and living for the award, for the validation, for the article, for the check, you know? And I can't believe how we got away with it. Like how
For years.
for years. And I will say to this point to my dear Black sisters, my African American melanin women, it has to be over in honor of our ancestors.
Yeah.
That's been passed down to us genetically to keep performing for little.
Yep.
For just a little something. Like our ancestors had to do that.
Yeah.
They had to overperform. They had to lose sleep. They had to ignore their bodies. And that trauma genetically got passed down onto us to where we apply it to our candles company, like making candles. We apply it to motherhood. We apply it like, no, they had to do that to survive.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
You know?
And we don't even realize how programmed we are to be like that. We just think that's just how it is. Like we don't even know the alternative. Like Alechia and I were talking the other day about how Black women are just now accepting that it's okay to luxuriate and to have luxury and to like to treat yourself to nice things and to like that for us is a brand new idea. Like we didn't grow up seeing that. I didn't grow up seeing my mom exercise. I didn't grow up seeing my mom just do nice things for herself, just go on a trip by herself. Like I saw my mom work 2 jobs. And I grew up feeling like, okay, if I'm not working, if I'm not contributing, if I'm not bringing something to the table, then I'm useless or I'm not valued. And we even have such a hard time, even in romantic relationships. Like we'll say, oh, I want a man to take care of me, but we wouldn't even know how to let him take care of us if they tried. So it is such a process of undoing. That's why I love the idea of affirmation music, because music is so powerful and it's something that literally rewires the brain and no change can really take place if we're not readjusting some of that wiring. So that's why
it's so much work. The unlearning process is so much work. Music feels like oil. It makes it easy. It's just like,
loosens you up.
Yes.
Up, it makes the work a lot more applicable, you know, exciting, more alive. Your heartbeat gets activated. I mean, we can talk deep about it, but the reality is when you throw that Nuck If You Buck song on, you ready to go. You know what I'm saying? You like you throw that Beyonce song, you like, yes, I'm that girl. Like you throw that sexy song on, you feeling yourself, you throw that mood song on that's talking about heartbreak and how you miss him, and that you're gonna think about what happened in 2015 and be like, yep. And it's like, babe, that was like so many years ago. Why are you still? Music has a way of hypnotizing you and rolling you into an emotional vibration and frequency. And I always say this, you know, that's why it's so much money in the music game, because it controls human energy. You see what I'm saying? It's the language of our existence. You know what I'm saying? It's the energy language. I mean, you think about it, commercials, elevators, movies. I can't even watch movies like that anymore. I still watch them, but like every scene is like a song. Like I hear the music, like, and it makes it dramatic and you feel the emotion of the scene. And it's like, it's the same thing with affirmation music. Affirmation music is literally a theme music for living and feeling alive and having a healthier relationship with yourself.
Listen, music, it literally has the power to do so much. I always say it underscores every part of our life. Fantasia was saying she had to stop singing those heartbreaking songs because she kept getting her heart broken. She had to stop.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep singing the music because that's all I knew, because people don't understand. And you just said it, like music is literally the connection, in my opinion. It is the connection to universal intelligence. Yes. it brings you to and through. Like it literally has the power to do so much and move so much. So how do you, with knowing its power, like how do you tap into like the energetic power of music for your affirmation mixtapes? Like, how do you do that? Because that takes skill. Everybody can't do that.
No, everybody can't do that. I have to say it's a gift. It's a gift. Like I want to give like all these other answers, but I'm just like, it's a gift because I told somebody the other day in another interview, I was like, I never heard of the concept of a dream coming true that you never dreamed of. Like I never knew like that was possible. Like a whole dream that missed my whole brain. Like that missed my whole heart. No one told me. I didn't know this was inside me. And when I look back over my life, I'm like, oh, it all makes sense. Everything added up to lead me to this moment here. I am supposed to be on a big platform to provide healing through music, you know? And so I think that number one, it's a gift. Number two, what nourishes or protects the gift, like, you know how when you have a valuable artifact or art piece in the museum and it's guarded by things like, I feel like the gift is inside this glass or protected by security, but the security and what it's protected by is having a pure heart. The pure heart is what sustains the gift to be in its place, its rightful place, not the gift to be in the place of ego or focused on desired outcomes of money or fame or validation. But the gift just stays grounded in a place of safety and security surrounded by your pure heart. You have to have a pure heart to create music like affirmation music, because we can say a lot of positive stuff. There's a lot of people who can say positive stuff over a dope beat, but that vibration that you feel through my music, it comes straight from the divine and it's within us all. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think it resonates with so many people, because the music is already in them. The message is already in their heart. That voice that tells them that they're more. You know, things that they don't really have a language for. When they hear the music, it's like, that's it. That is what I've been trying to say. Like, I can't believe this girl, Toni, knew to share my story through like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? I hear it all the time. And I'm like, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it's God. Like, I know how I feel when I'm in the studio and it's euphoric. You know?
I know how you feel too, because literally talking to you, my entire being is like, like it's so crazy because I manifested this moment. The day I heard Worth Ethic, we hadn't even said we were going to bring guests onto the show. And I said, the moment we do, she has to be. And in my mind, because I'm a firm believer, the moment you put energy behind it, and I guess I listen to you every day. Like, it's not no joke. I have a playlist that is just
definitely do. Yes.
That also has Victoria Monet on there, her song.
I love Victoria. I would love to work with her.
Listen, okay, so we need to figure out how we gonna get you and her together. And you can ask anybody who knows me. Once I make a decision that something is going to happen, it has no choice but to happen, because I understand that God created the universe and He put the universe to be here in support of whatever decision that I as a person makes. So my commitment to you is I'm going to figure out how do we make that happen. So just know.
I love that.
It is something.
She's tapped in too.
Yo, she is
tapped in.
She very much so. That song Moment, if y'all don't know it, go straight. That song, like it starts off as we created this moment. Like, you are so dope. Can you imagine? Like, we created this moment. And so every time I listen to your music, it reminds me that I get to change this. I do not have to accept what this is. I can change.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be the way it's always been, because that is the number one defeater of dreams. Saying, oh, this is just always how it's been.
Yeah. And referring to what you said earlier about a lot of us are in a space of reparenting. And Toni, what you said about entering like a hippie phase, a lot of our childhood traumas, many of us still rule us and affect us in so many ways. And when we think about reparenting, a lot of people don't even know where to start with that. They don't know what that means. They don't know how to do that. And when I think about the power of music and especially something like affirmation music that can reach so deep into the soul and undo trauma in such a lighthearted way. Like you don't even think about it in like as something that can be useful to help heal trauma and to reparent yourself. And reparenting literally just means making a different decision based on what you now know, as opposed to what you were taught or however you were conditioned by your parents. So can you kind of talk to us a little bit about how you use your music to help people kind of reparent themselves, right? In a sense, like giving themselves that back, maybe what they didn't have as children.
Yeah. I just wrote something. Actually, it's right here. I'm gonna tear it down. And one of the things I said, I wrote this down a couple weeks ago. It says, your family is not responsible to be what you now realize you needed when you were a child.
Oh my God.
Your newfound consciousness of your needs are to be met by you. When you meet those needs, watch your soul family just magnetize towards you. And I believe that
after
for receiving the affirmation music helps you do what I say when you meet those needs. So the affirmation music helps you meet those needs of self-compassion, self-soothing, comforting yourself. When you find y'all, self-love this week is at an all-time high this week because I had so many things come up for me. Anxiety. It felt like stuff that didn't even belonged to me, but it had to be moved through me. And I just said, I really don't like that you're in my 2021 anxiety, but I welcome you, move through me, whatever I'm supposed to learn, whatever I'm supposed to see, I welcome it and I'll release you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the affirmation music helps you to be mindful to meet your needs in the way that you probably expected other people to meet them for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so that's what I hope for people. If I was to hope for anything with the music is for people to understand they are the guru, they are the parent, they are the teacher, they are the Messiah, they are the one, the chosen one to save their world. The highest advocacy you can have in this existence is for your personal freedom. Period.
Yep.
That what that does on an energetic level is you start to liberate everyone's connected to you. And it's a domino effect. I'm living proof of it. I'm living proof. Thousands upon thousands headed towards millions, are freeing themselves. And it started with me deciding, to be honest with you, to give up on the life that I lived. I gave up. A lot of people say, I'm so glad I didn't give up on myself. I'm glad I did. Because the only thing that was painful about it, the only thing that really felt the pain was the things that need to be let go anyway. The only thing that really suffered was the parts that weren't really true, that wanted to continue to live on, but they had to die. And so, some people say it's a rebirth or whatever. I'm just know I'm happier, and I went through some stuff. So yeah, I would definitely say the affirmation music is a tool to not just a mental health tool, but just something that personal hug you can give to your mind and to yourself when you're having moments of that are from old timelines of self-criticism, low self-esteem, and so on, depression. You can push play and your mood will shift.
Listen, why are you, and I know we're not the same person, but literally that is what I tell people to do all the time. Push play. you can't grow on pause. That is literally my quote that I tell people in my wellness.
We're in sync, sis.
Listen, I'm literally trying my best not to cry because I ugly cry. My cries are not cute. Because you just said something, and I was telling my partner, I was like, I'm giving up good for great. Like I am releasing it. I am saying goodbye to it. I worked so hard because I had planned to take my life January 2013. I had decided how I was going to go. I had went home to tell my mother goodbye in December 2012. Like you were saying earlier, I was done with this life. I felt I had no value. I was like, God, you really fucked up because you didn't make me creative. I have nothing to offer the world. And at that point, I had given up in a way that I wasn't supposed to give up. I met a girl named Naomi, and she introduced me to my purpose, and finding my purpose is what kept me living to this point. But what helped you survive won't keep you when you're ready to thrive.
Right.
Our ancestors survived so that we could thrive, but somewhere along the way, we locked into this survival instinct, be the best. Like, I don't tell my daughter she has to be twice as good to get half as much. Why the fuck would I tell her that foolishness? I will not
curse her.
I would not keep perpetuating that ignorance. And it's no disrespect to those who tell their kids this, but disrespectfully, stop telling them that stupid shit. I could have probably said that.
It's a spell.
Yeah.
It's a spell. Because what you do is you put your children, the next generation, in an energetic gridlock.
Yep.
And the proof is that it happened to us.
Yes.
It was passed down to us. And then so a spell is a continuation of a gridlock of an energetic frequency that you cannot break out of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So those words, the word spell means the very action of writing down words. So when you actually speak, you're casting a spell over your children when you say, hey, you're going to have to work till like you can't breathe. Black people are oppressed. Like you continually say these things. Like I say radical stuff like the American government serves my highest good. Like I get radical and ridiculous with it because there's a quote that says artists never tolerate reality. We create it.
Right.
Like Lauryn Hill also says, if we are made in God's image, call me by my name.
Call me by my name.
Call me by my name. I'm going to operate the way that a divine God image will operate. I see the content in this reality, but because I'm made in the image of God, I can use that content, create a true reality. I have the power to imagine. I have the power to speak and feel. So I don't have to be oppressed by my racial wounds, by what's happening as reality. I can see that, and then I can start to create a truer reality and start speaking healing, speaking unity for the human family. Because the reality is quiet as it's kept. Whatever's happening to Black people is happening to Chinese people, it's happening to the animals, it's happening to the trees. Like our issues is a world global issue, period. It's not just for our that's not how energy works. Look, I'm digressing, but my whole point is
no, you're not.
No, it's
you're right on point.
Yeah.
The whole point was what I'm referring to is be careful what you are saying to your children because it creates their reality.
It really does. It really does. It's this thing where I don't tell my daughter, oh my God, you're growing up. I'm so sad. That too, I don't understand it when people say it because whatever doesn't grow dies. And so you literally are saying you'd wish them to stop all growth and die so that you can maintain a picture of who you would wish and want them to be.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And people say it all the time. And I'm just like, but that, and for me,
understandable because it's our norm.
Yeah.
It's our norm. I'm telling you, it's our norm. And we've normalized so many things that past generations have just winged and casually just said and did.
Yeah.
But I said the other day, the trauma of past generations ushered us into be the first generation of daughters and sons to heal what our ancestors couldn't, wouldn't, and didn't have access to resources to do so. Yeah. So we're a very special, very royal, regal, divine generation because we get to feel things that don't even belong to us, but we get to heal it, transmute it in a way for the next generation of children and families to be whole, you know?
Absolutely. A lot of brown children on their Forbes list, and not because Blue Ivy, I think, is worth, it's either 50 or 500 million. Blue Ivy ain't had to work hard a day in her life. And I get so excited about it because, yes, we should normalize Black children with huge ass trust funds who are also at peace.
And an inheritance, because we don't have that luxury of inheritances. I mean, that was I always talk about how, we always are mad at, they said the N word and like the little petty stuff that happens in racism. But it's like, there's been such a spiritual injustice when it comes to racism and things like that. And not having an inheritance and being able to just start life at the top of the totem pole, it's so hard to even get to a spiritual level when you don't even know how you're going to eat. You can't think about things that are above your survival when you can't even fathom how you're going to take care of your family. I think it's so special, like Toni was saying, that this generation gets the opportunity to just kind of do away with all that, every trauma and all the survival mentality that we've always had, and just be like, okay, you know what, that doesn't work. Let's do something different. And I think that's why we kind of are seeing that struggle in the media and just across the board, where it's like, okay, it's really over. Like that slavery, all that. Because if you notice in the media, I see it so much now, how we're constantly being reminded about slavery. We're constantly being reminded about civil rights back in the day. Like that stuff is constantly coming up the more we try to elevate and connect to our higher self. For whatever reason, I just keep hearing about how we were slaves and how this happened and how that happened. Like you can just feel that they keep trying to bring us back to that space because we're trying to elevate and come out of that. So I just feel like it's just all the more real, and it's obvious that that's what's happening.
Yeah, you got to keep folks distracted. You got to keep them distracted. Because if you keep them distracted, it's real hard to climb a mountain if you keep looking back trying to, pick up rocks. Because eventually you'll have so many rocks in your pocket that you can't continue to elevate because you've picked up too much. You paying attention to everything. I don't allow, I have one of my girlfriends, she listens to the news every single morning, starting at 7 a.m. And I told her, I was like, hey, I'm not trying to run your life, but I am telling you, your days would go a lot better if you remove that from the beginning of your morning. Yeah. I get you want to be informed, but having that much toxicity in the morning when everything is energy is something that literally you now have allowed someone else to take and control the energetic vibration of your day. She's like, oh, girl, you so crazy. I'm like, okay. All right. You're giving someone else the power to control you. But
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go right ahead.
It's the power of consciousness when you get to choose what you want to focus on. A lot of our leaders, a lot of our faves talk about whatever you give your energy to, you amplify it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to our people, they want us to give us energy to the past.
Yeah.
For some reason. And I say I'm being nice by saying for some reason, because I'm not trying to call nobody out. Yeah. But I will say that whatever you give energy to, whether you're against it or not, you amplify it. I was just telling somebody today, they afraid of marriage because they don't want to choose the wrong person. I said, the more you fear that, the more you manifest the very thing that you're afraid of.
Yeah, because you're giving it.
It's like, if you're so against racism, share about how you're against it. All you're doing is giving racism more life.
Yeah.
I didn't make the rules. This is how energy works.
This is how the universe. Yeah. And I saw a meme that said praying and worrying are the same thing.
Same damn thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but you can be intentional about what you want to manifest. And then it was another thing I told you, Alechia, where I heard something where somebody said the universe always says yes.
So
whatever you want to say, whatever you want to ask for, that's exactly what you're going to get. So literally. It's very, yeah.
It's what I got in my first husband. It's literally what I got. I had a list of all the things I did not want. I look at that list and he has everything on it. I literally wrote out I created this.
Yeah.
But I told him, thank you. And it's so funny. That's why and again, I'm going to always refer back, F-boys are tools of enlightenment. And before I listened to it, because I told him thank you years ago, like when I moved to New York, because I sold my house, like I'm a firm believer in nonsense, whatever don't work, throw it away, start over. So I sold my house. I told God, well, if my house sells in 90 days, I'll move to New York. I kept feeling an unctioning that I was supposed to move to New York, but I was like, hell, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no. And then I said, you know what? Since when have you not had something ever been a challenge for you? That don't matter. You create what you need. I always have. So I told God, okay, if the house sells in 90 days, I'll move to New York. The house sold in 60. I was like, well, looks like I'm going to New York. Before I left, I had a conversation with my ex-husband. Once we finalized like all the details of the house and the deed and all that other stuff, I was like, thank you. Thank you for hurting me. Thank you for breaking me, because in you breaking me, in you giving me ultimatums, what you thought was to hurt me was actually to break me open. You thought it was to break me down, but it was instead to break me open, because the person that I have discovered in this breaking open, although painful, is the person that has now impacted not only myself, but thousands of lives that I never would have been able to touch without the experience of you. So thank you. Shook him. And I didn't plan on telling his ass thank you, but I look at it now and I'm like, yo, without you, there's so much that I wouldn't have gotten to experience. You literally were placed in my path in order to bring out of me a specific need. I can be empathetic and I can understand and I can love with a whole full heart because I know how it feels not to have it. So I understand how people react and respond when they are missing that integral piece of love. How it changes things and shifts entire universes and worlds for them simply because you have shown them what love looks like.
So powerful.
Yeah. So
it really
powerful.
Is. It really is.
That's sacred gratitude. I call that sacred gratitude because sacred gratitude is that genuine thankfulness. Number one, it's sincere. It's not sarcastic or subliminal. It's sincere, number one. Number two, it's alchemy, because you're taking pain that can be formulated as poison and you're purifying that through love to where you can have a sacred gratitude for someone who possibly meant you harm. Their shadows had no intentions of, promoting you, had no intentions of growing you, but it did, So that's beautiful that you gave yourself that and gave him that, because that brought some healing to him on some type of level, to experience someone that he hurt, bring that type of gratitude. That's the power of love. So
yeah.
That's the type of stuff I think that should go viral. That's the type of stuff I feel like deserves Grammys.
Yeah,
that's the type of stuff that I that's like, that excites me, because I have been through so much bullshit with my human family that I'm just like, people, like, let's get it together. Like, self-love is the key. That's the way we can enjoy each other. It does not mean that we become perfect, but we become more conscious of our shadows in our light, to where we can consciously choose who we want to be in every situation. No matter what our programming and social conditioning is, no matter where we're at in our growth path and our healing path, consciousness expands your awareness to see all of who you are, light and dark. And then when you're engaging with people as they trigger you or disappoint you or let you down, you're conscious enough to see what came up for you when they said this, when they didn't do this and whatever. And you can consciously choose to say, I'm going to hold this person harmless. I'm going to use my throat chakra and communicate this if that's true for me. You see what I'm saying? That's like big girl shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? That's big girl panty shit, like all day. Like, but that's what's so bossy about consciousness, is because you don't have to hide and shrink yourself, have all this resentment and have this conversation about them to your mother, to your boyfriend, to your, and no, you can talk to that person directly after you talk to your spirit and see what's true, you know?
Absolutely.
Man, I wish we could redefine. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're redefining what it really means to be a boss bitch. Like, it's not about all that other stuff. It's like, but how are you growing, sis? How are you healing?
How are you healing?
How are you responding now? How are you, like that? I love that idea, because I went to this event once and, it was about, manifesting and doing all these things. And I was just realizing that every time I had been to something like that, especially when it was with Black women, it was always how to manifest this car and this house and this job and this man and this, and I was just like, can we start over? Can we start to manifest healing?
Water?
Yeah. Can we manifest getting over molestation? Can we manifest like the real issues within our community? Like, we don't, like, we're not there yet. Like, that stuff is
that stuff comes and goes.
I was just I loved, like, when Alechia told me about you and I started researching, I was like, this is what I've been wanting to hear. Like, Black women, let's manifest like the real stuff that we have, the power that we have. Let's manifest and bring back our feminine essence. I was watching this documentary and it talked about how we were degendered. During slavery, men and women were degendered. So there was they didn't treat us as men and women. So it was so stripped from us. So to have that opportunity to recognize that and to be like, no, I am this feminine, sexy, soft woman. Like, I don't know what a soft woman look like. I don't know any soft woman in my family. Like, that doesn't even exist.
Yes, but doesn't it feel natural? When you give yourself permission to explore, it's like, this kind of feels,
it does feel natural.
It's like the right shoe.
Natural, but it's something you have to, like, it's like if you're trying on a new outfit, you're trying to see if it fit.
Right.
And softness is something you got to try and see, like, does this look good on me? Like, is this true? Because you weren't taught it, you didn't see it, so your brain is like trying to adjust,
Yeah. We both hear the clicking only when you're talking.
Yeah.
And it just started doing that. It just started like maybe 3 to 5 minutes ago, like out of nowhere.
When you were going deep, I already know what it is. It's because of how it's okay. Listen, they're going to still be able to hear it. Just like I can still hear you, they can still hear you.
Okay,
this is goodness.
That is crazy.
I'm telling you, it's because of the change. And I don't like to acknowledge or say, oh, that's the devil, or, oh, I don't like doing that. But I do have
opposing energy.
Yes, there is an opposing energy that, in my opinion, it just wants to see, how bad do I really want it? And so my decision to stay steadfast, to do whatever it takes, to listen to my spirit man that says, go home. You need to be incubated and insulated. Go home. Give two fucks about how someone feels about it. Go home for protection. Reduce down so that you can really drill in and focus. And for me, water has such a healing energy for me. So for me, it's go near where you can be by some water so you can hear me clearly. Because for me, I understand, no matter, even though, like I said, no matter what my desires are, like how you said you never would have imagined doing what you are, it's kind of like there are multiple paths that we get to take with our choices and our decisions. And each path leads us to a different outcome. But there is a highest level of outcome. There is a design or a designated path that would allow us to tap into the fullness of who we were created to be. But we have to make a choice. And in you choosing to go back to reduce everything so that your economics weren't keeping you so bogged down that you couldn't see or think or feel or create, in you doing that, you decided that your healing was not optional, it was mandatory. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you require. Your healing became a requirement. But what I want to know from you is helping others heal. That's a heavy ass responsibility. And you were saying that you can't believe that anxiety is in your 2021, that you feel like it's just passing through. And as a person who is an empath, which I feel as though you are, because the only way to create on that level is to connect to spirit. And spirit is more than just you. Spirit is so many other energies. So how do you manage the weight of that responsibility?
Oh, I feel so loved by you with this question, because it is not easy being me. It's not. It's not hard either. It's just a challenge, you know. Self-love and community and village. Like self-love and having spirit, community, and village is everything to me. So playing self-love looks like playing a lot, having fun, leaving space for spontaneity, sometimes being like recklessly abandoning my agenda, like just one day out of the week when I feel like I really need it. You know, I'm like, I'm canceling Tuesday. That's what's happening today. I'm going to get some ice cream. I'm going to the beach. That's what's just going down. Like, yes, I have to send those invoices. Yes, I have to respond, but today's canceled. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I like love on myself sometimes, because I have to be gentle with my process, because so much comes up for me and comes through me. And so the other thing is having community and village. Having spiritual community and village is everything. Growing up in church had its place, but I had no idea how amazing it could be to be around people who really do know God. Being around people who believe in God is so different from people who really do know God. You know what I'm saying? And so having community and village of people who know God has been so nourishing to my nature, because I'm in a deep relationship with the Most High. And so for me, being around them, they respect me, they feed me, like they take care of me, they check in with me. They have reverence. It's the honor. It's the honor for me.
It's the honor.
It's the honor. Like I had one of my best friends tell me, like, you'll never be just my best friend. You woke me up. Like, you're more than that. And so having people that really see you and value and cherish you like you're a treasure is like everything. So whether you're a shaman, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a creative, or whether you're just a logistical person, no matter who you are, having people that revere and honor your spirit, who you are at the heart, at the core of who you are, is everything. Have people around you that meet you on a soul level and that can respect you on a soul level.
How do you feel like you cultivated that, Toni? Because there's this idea that making new friends and creating that tribe is not easy to do in your adulthood. So how do you feel like you were able to kind of cultivate and accept that that kind of an experience with people?
Well, it's been a journey, because it was a 7-year run with I had an inner circle, and I had an outer circle, and then I had associate networks, and all of those went away in 2019. It was only like maybe one or two.
From the inner circle all the way through.
All the way through.
Wow.
So in 2019, that 7-year of cultivating that left, and then so people, I won't say they're new friends, but their relationships that I had that just were present, they deepened, in the past couple of years. A friend of mine, we've been friends for probably like 30 years. That relationship deepened. The one I said, I woke her up, if you will. It's just, and then they just attract. Like, I don't think it was very much an intentional thing. It was just like when you are vibrating high, when you are on a certain frequency and you're finding home with being with yourself. Like, there's something about the magnetic nature of when you're just at home with yourself. You start to attract people who are at home with themselves.
Yeah.
And that shit is like,
it is great. I asked you about that. I asked you to kind of elaborate because I had that experience where I started cultivating these new relationships that were just so fulfilling and so amazing. And I remember one New Year, I was like, I want to deepen the relationships that I have and I want to cultivate new ones. And that's all I set the intention for. I was like, I want something else. There's something that I'm not getting from the relationships that I have. And it changed my life. It completely set me on a different path. And I really realized how important it was to have that village and that community and to be with people, not necessarily who are like-minded, but like-hearted. Like that is so
like-hearted.
You know?
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, we're always, because we all grew up in church, you got like-minded and equally yoked and all this stuff. But it's like, if your heart is not on that same vibration, that's where jealousy comes in. That's where envy comes in. That's where backstabbing comes in, because y'all minds might be the same, but your hearts aren't. And you wonder why.
I was terrified by how many people I had around me that saw me and wanted to keep me small. And I don't even know if they knew it. But I was terrified. I'm talking about I was homies. But what I learned was no one did anything wrong. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. They were being who they were supposed to be for my growth.
Yeah.
They were all in service to my evolution. So, but on a one plane of reality, it's just like, oh, y'all was shady as hell. Like, oh my God, like how could y'all do me like that? Y'all know I'm like the hippie of the group. So, but it's like, so be it. All is in divine order.
So be it.
For my growth. So, those are our feelings. I'm just grateful that I can get to a place where there's genuine gratitude, like you were saying, Alechia, about just having genuine, sincere gratitude. It's so freeing. It's so freeing because you can live in that place of like haters and like I'm vibrating high, y'all low vibrational. Like, you can live there and be on that loop and think you're a victim to like, but no, you chose those people as your homies. Like that says something about
that's what I literally say that because very, very long story, very, very short. My ex-husband was very abusive, lost my first child because he slammed me into the ground. I was 17 weeks pregnant, lost the baby like 3 days later. It's so funny because my mother knew. She came to the hospital and she was like, baby, just tell me. She's like, he hit you, didn't he? She's like, I'll go kill him for you. Just let me know. And while I was in the hospital, I was heartbroken because I was like, damn, how did I get here? My friends all knew me as somebody who I had never had a problem speaking my mind. I was very I was the one who was, you will not be disrespectful. You will not this, you will not that. And what I realized is all that loud talking, that's like that low vibrational thing where you just low, you're this, you're that. All of that is because there are major insecurities. I was loud because I was so insecure. I was like, oh, all the things a man will never do to me, all of this head smacking, yin yanging was because I was there was deep insecurity and self-loathing there. So in that moment, although I still made a choice to accept and to keep moving in that moment, the reason I went back to say thank you is because that was the introduction. That was my first step into what does love look like for me, because I wasn't taught that.
Yeah.
What does it look like to love me? Because I had chosen a partner. I wasn't raped. Not by him anyway, but I had chosen a partner who treated me how I felt about myself. So it literally, when you say tools of enlightenment, it really was because it was like a mirror showing me, you hate this. I hated everything from the top of my head to my toes. I hated the way my toes looked. I hated the way my skin was. I hated my nose. I hated the color of my skin. I hated every part of me. So I literally brought into my universe somebody who hated me as much as I hated myself. And when I lost that baby, it was like, so this is what it looks like to choose the very opposite of what you say you want.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have enough strength at that time to leave, but it was kind of like a light switch that was like, this doesn't have to be the case. Again, I didn't have the strength to leave at that point, but it was my stepping stone to you can still love you. This is what it looks like. That's when I started. I started traveling then. I started to explore then, just, dipping my little toe in the pond of what it looks like to love me. It took years, but I finally made it. But it was a choice.
Yeah.
But I needed him to get me here. So that level of, I guess it is I'd never even thought about calling it gratitude. I was just saying thank you, because it's like, yo, I met me. Yeah, like I met me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Toni, I don't know if you have any more questions, Alechia. My last question for you is, do you use your own affirmation music to uplift yourself?
Yes, I do.
You turn you on. Okay.
Girl, I listened to, literally, I was up last night blasting my mental health mixtape. I love that mental health mixtape because
that's dope.
It was so fun. We had did that in 2 weeks, and it was just it was so fun because I got to explore my artistry in different pockets of how I say what I say. It's like I've been growing from the Affirmations Grown Ass Woman album to Affirmations of Chill to Icy Me Mantras to the mixtape. This next album I'm doing, y'all have never heard music like this before. I know. I'm shook. I'm shook.
Can't wait to be shook too.
It's the new sound. It's like a new sound, and so, but yeah, I listen to my music all the time. Some of the stuff that I listen to, I know my people ain't gonna rock it. I know. That's why I create the music that I do. But I listen to some very deep, heavy stuff, science-based, because, some of the stuff that I spiritually go through, it's heavy. You know what I'm saying? Concepts, downloads that I get. I have to ground myself. So sometimes I have to listen to other things that ground me in a way where my spirit is leveled out. Cause I will go into La La Land because you start to realize just how much of an illusion all of this is.
And it makes me sad.
It can make you sad. It's a scripture in the Bible. It's a scripture in the Bible says you increase of knowledge, you increase of sorrow. Because when you know more, you start to realize, hey, how much is not actually true. It's not that it's all a lie. It's just there's other truer planes and realities that you can tap into that you don't really know how, but yeah, so I definitely rock to my own music. I mean, honestly, the Icy Me Mantras album and the mixtape was all about does it sound good to me first? Affirmations for the Grown Ass Woman and Affirmations of Chill was all about I want to create this for the people. But the last two albums are just I want this. I want to make this for me.
That's amazing.
So I did definitely listen to them.
That's cool.
Well, I can't wait to continue to support. I know where to find you, but please let everybody else know where can they stay connected.
Yeah.
Where can we purchase?
Yeah. They can subscribe at IamToniJones.com to stay updated because there's some exciting, amazing things going on that I'm going to be releasing for us in service to expanding our consciousness. My YouTube channel is on my website as well because I'll be releasing content right now. Right now, for the whole month of June, I'm focusing on celebrating masculinity and the advocating of mental health for men and just highlighting the voices of the experiences men have. On the mixtape, I have a song called Dear Men. I remixed just Jill Scott, a Long Walk song. And it's just really I've been learning a lot from men. I cannot believe how much we've gotten away with as a society of silencing their voices because they've had privilege in some economic way. That they're in some type of way, it's been normalized to dehumanize men. And so this month of June, in honor of Father's Day, I'll be highlighting this, celebrating masculinity and just helping them feel a little bit more seen through that song, Dear Man. So on YouTube, I'll be doing a lot of campaign around that, and on Instagram as well. But IamToniJones.com is where you can find all of my music.
Alechia, Toni, I'm sorry, but you are just like, you keep freaking me out. I literally just said in another podcast, I was like, there's so much you can learn from men and of the opposite sex. And I was talking about having non-romantic, fulfilling relationships. Like, you were just like, I don't know what this is. Like, but you are
we're aligned. We're aligned.
It's like, she literally like, it's like you've been a fly on a wall in our conversations. Like, I swear, like you're saying stuff. I'm like, didn't we just, it feels like deja vu. Like I've had that like 5 times since we've been talking. Wow. I'm like, didn't we just talk about this, Alechia? And I'm looking like, am I crazy? Oh my God, that's just crazy. I've never had that happen at this level, Alechia, on our podcast, where it's like every time she says something, I'm like, we literally just said this. This is crazy. It's crazy. I'm sorry. I just had to let you know that you were super okay.
I'm speechless.
Thank you.
I have words.
Yeah, I'm just like
speechless. Like
crazy.
You are exactly what I need, and I know that can feel like pressure, but just know I'm doing the personal work. So you don't have to own this one. You don't have to own the heaviness that it takes when people say you're exactly what I need. Because for me, that can sometimes feel like pressure.
No, it's totally fine. I understand it. I completely understand it. And the way it lands for me is like, it's like what Kanye said, if you're a fan of my music, you're a fan of yourself. Like, it's like, the way every time someone says something like to the nature of what you were saying, I think of it as like, oh, you're thinking of yourself in this way. Like I don't take it as, oh, you're talking to me. I'm like, oh, you're thinking, thank you for doing this for you. Because that's the only way you can receive me is if you fuck with you. Like,
And I fuck with me heavy. Listen, this was incredible. So enriching.
Incredible.
There are no words to say or that truly articulate what you just did and being your true self and having fun. So I want to say thank you. I know we definitely went over the time. I say thank you for your openness, for your vulnerability, for your willingness to just be here with us. I thank you. Like,
yeah. And before you say anything, Toni, my deepest hope is that your work can inspire other people to do more work like that, because music is so powerful. Like I want you to reach everybody you need to reach to make this like what mainstream music is. Like this is mainstream music. Like this is what it should be. This is how music we should be able to use the power of music to uplift each other and to connect with our higher self. So I hope and I pray that is what your music does and continues to do, so that I feel like everyone just needs to know. Like everybody needs to hear this. Everybody.
Thank you so much. My brother called me the other day. He was like, I think you're going to make history and change the music industry. I was like, I don't know, but I'm like, again, when you've gone into so many dark places, you lose, it's not that you lose interest, but you just don't hold a lot of norms of success close to your heart. It's just like when you finally get to a place where you can be happy based on how you feel, not based on what's happening outside of you. It's like, that's all I want. That's all I want. And whatever comes with is icing on the cake. But I just got to be good with me, like, because I know what it feels like when I'm not good with me, and I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, Alechia and I are going to stand in agreement with your brother, okay?
I'm here for it. I'm here for the ride. Listen, I just hit, my manager called me last week, like, yo, you just hit 3 million streams without no marketing team. No PR.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. People need to hear this. Yeah. It's time. And you know what? I think that so many of us are ready. And I think that's why it's a time like this, right? It's like, this is when the people have the ear to hear it, you know? So I think that's what makes it so special, is your timing is impeccable, and that's why it has to work.
And the fact that you stay consistent, because that's something that people like, oh, it didn't work, so I'm gonna stop. But you have been consistently saying, like, this ain't really it. You mean I gotta work till I die? Like, wait, so you mean
that ain't me?
Listen, like, I get that. What is it? The winds from Team No Sleep are bossy. I might be misquoting the line.
No, it's like we get that. Like the they are bossy. Like, you get results. We're not gonna lie. Like, that stuff ain't bossy to have those outcomes, but that's not sustainable living. You know,
It's not. So, Ronnie Brown posted an image on her social media. And I don't know if you follow her, but she posted an image on there, and it was an image of all the uber successful people who had taken their lives at the height of their quote unquote career. And it brought tears to my eyes, simply because people really do think that success and money equals peace and happiness. From Robin Williams to Kate Spade to like all the people who we've lost to drug overdose. That's Whitney, that's Prince, that's Michael. Like, those were geniuses, genius level talent, operating fully in their gifting, but who
all the resources.
Every resource imaginable, but who were so miserable that they couldn't sleep and couldn't find rest. Yeah. Sleep is a form of torture, like not being able to sleep. Like, sleep deprivation is a form of torture. That's why newborns are like it's so difficult in the beginning, which is why I advocate for night nurses. Get you a night nurse. Sleep deprivation is a form of torture. People use it to torture people. And if you were unable to sleep and you get all these prescription drugs to help you sleep, eventually you are going to slip on into the ethos, because your brain starts to build up a tolerance. So you need more and more and more. And that torturous thing that happens with, yes, I have all the money, have all the success. I can pick up the phone and call presidents of nations and kings and queens, but I can't get rest. Do you know what type of torture that is? To where you can't even get rest, but you can control whether or not an entire country, you affect their gross domestic product. You know what kind of power that is?
Yeah.
But to not have power over your own body to get rest, you have no peace. You got all the prosperity. Cool. But you have no peace. Yeah. So you take yourself out of the game, because you can't reconcile the fact that, I got all this success, but I'm literally ready to take myself out of the game because I have no peace. And what your music does is brings us back to peace through love.
Yeah. And that is reparenting, because when you think about how we are with children, that's not everyone is loving towards children. When you think about children and how they pout over an ice cream cone falling, or they can't play with their toy, they just have tantrums like, someone, destroyed their whole life. You don't go crazy. You just like, listen, Johnny, listen, Jennifer, listen, Tabitha, like, calm down. Mommy got this. Like, you got to talk to them where they're at. Sometimes it's more firm, but you got to be mindful. You have to be gentle, and firm sometimes, most of the times. But, you have to do that same thing with ourselves to bring ourselves peace. We have to self-soothe. We have to self-calm. We have to be self-compassionate towards ourselves when we throw these inner tantrums, when we're triggered, when we're disappointed, when we have emotions that we don't even understand or know how to comprehend, is interrupting our high vibe goals. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, we have to be gentle with ourselves. And that's what I think reparenting is at the end of the day.
Man, We're gonna let y'all go because we could be here all night, and
all night. Seriously,
I can't take that much of your time because I want you to still be able to, decompress and enjoy the rest of your evening. But the only words and thank you isn't adequate enough. But thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I am going to work on seeing how I can use whatever power I have to manifest that connection for you. Because I am excited about the impact and the change that you're going to continue to make, because 3 milli is just the beginning. I can't wait till you we at 3 billion and then some, and
all
then
of that.
Yes, and
all of that.
And yes, and
I appreciate that love, and I appreciate you seeing the value in that, because people like me, and that this does not come from an egoic place. It just comes from how I see myself now. The world deserves to see people like me win in this realm, in the way they define quote unquote winning. They need to see happy Black women thriving, sexy, conscious, healing, mindful. They need to see that. Our girls need to see it. Little white girls, little Mexican girls, little Latina Black girls. They need to see a different type of womaning. Not to shame the way that it's been done, but there needs to be some range and diversity in this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just grateful that you feel the call to amplify what I do. It means the world to me. And thank you both.
Thank you. Yay. I love this.
We did it. And until next time, y'all already know, stay tuned, stay up. If you're not subscribed, these are the type of conversations we having. Triggered as fuck. We are bringing very real conversations because it is time to transcend what has been normal to reach the highest levels of ourselves in all aspects.
Absolutely.
Life, love, and business. Life, love, and business. So until next time, bye everyone.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Triggered AF. Remember, don't be consumed by your triggers. Confront it and then work to release it. Whether you leave us more triggered than you came, or you're feeling like you've been open to a new perspective, our hope is that you've grown. Make sure to share this episode with a friend who's trigger happy and tag us while you're listening. We can't wait to hear from you. Until next week, pull it together, girl.